up, y'all? Welcome back to another edition of Tutorial Tuesday. Today we're talking about sampling and how to sample anything from any sound source anywhere that you can pull up on your computer. When I first kind of learned about sampling, it blew my mind. I'd been listening to rap music ever since, probably elementary school, definitely more middle school and high school. It always blew my mind just the types of sounds that these producers would come up with to throw in their instrumentals. I just thought these beats were absolutely crazy. I had very little idea that 90% of all these hip-hop songs are just being sampled from other songs, basically taking the interesting part from one song and throw into another. I'd been listening to rap music forever, and it wasn't until probably I was about 21 years old that I realized how much sampling still exists in modern hip-hop music. There were some songs here and there, like the old Vanilla Ice Baby, that I knew was a sample, but I had no idea how many other songs were samples. It really just kind of changed the way I looked at hip-hop music, and it made me really want to get into it. I thought it was so cool how they were taking pieces of songs and throwing them in there and making beats. The dilemma I ran into when I first started making beats was, all right, how the hell do you sample something and pull sound from something else and edit it down? So that initial step of actually finding the sample and going and actually taking it and being able to put it into your DAW is what we're going to go ahead and cover today. So let's get to it. All right, so the most common thing that I use to pull samples from stuff is YouTube to MP3 converter. There's a bunch of them on the internet. Most of them are free. I just use this one, ytmp3.cc. Literally just Google search YouTube to MP3, and there's tons of programs that'll do it. I mostly sample from YouTube because it has an endless library of so many songs that I don't think I'll ever be able to get through all of them in my lifetime. I find most of the stuff on there. Obviously go to YouTube, and then one thing I do on YouTube is I make a playlist. So whenever I'm like going through and listening to samples or whatever, I'll just go and throw in this playlist called Digging. And so whenever you have the song that you want pulled up, copy the URL, go back to the YouTube converter, paste it, hit convert, and then it'll pop up for you. Just go ahead and hit download. Now on this one, whenever I hit download, some spam window always pops up. Just go ahead and delete that. No, I don't want any notifications and any of that. And then literally it'll go to your downloads folder. So I'm in downloads. Here's the sample that I pulled. And then I organize all my samples. I save them on a hard drive. I got a folder called samples right here. And I'll just take this and drag it into the samples folder. And that way, anytime I pull up Fruity Loops from here on out, I can just go into the samples folder and it'll be right there for me. Now, like I said, that works for 90% of the time that I sample. However, there's sometimes that I find songs, or I find just sounds, or I find random things that I want to use for a sample that might not be on YouTube. So there's another tool that I use that allows me to sample from anywhere. It's called Goldwave. It's called goldwave.com. I haven't used this in a while. I haven't downloaded it yet, so we're just going to do that right now for you. It was free the last time I checked. I think they have a paid version, but I think the basic version's free you can pull from. So yeah, just Goldwave, digital audio editing software. Download. All right, so go ahead and open up Goldwave. All right, and then to be able to sample anything, basically any sound that you pull up on your computer, as long as you play it, Goldwave will capture it. So the way to set this up is if you just go to Options, and then go to Control Properties, and then click on Device. Where it says Record, you can just record directly into a microphone, but if you want to pull it from your computer, just go ahead and select Loopback. And then you can test it or whatever, but otherwise just hit OK. All right, let's go ahead and pull up the famous Allen Iverson interview. All right, so this is a perfect example. Let's say you find an interview on something. Now you can find this Allen Iverson interview on YouTube all over the place, but let's say you find something, some sound clip, some sample or whatever that's not on YouTube that you can't just convert to MP3. All you have to do is play the interview, and then Goldwave will record the sound while it's playing. If we go into Goldwave, just go ahead and hit New. File length, you can change how long you want it to run. You can go anywhere from 24 hours, which is pretty cool. I think with a lot of the YouTube converters, they only capture like an hour. So if you want to do something that's really long, you can just take that as well. Or if you only want to do like a snippet, let's say you want to convert something that's 3 hours long, but you only want like a certain part of it. Goldwave allows you just to take that part rather than trying to dig through this whole entire sample when you're putting your composition together. And then over here, if you hit record, it'll start recording.
We sitting here, I'm supposed to be the franchise player, and we're in here talking about practice. I mean, listen, we talking about practice. Not a game. We talking about practice.
All right, so if I go back here into Goldwave, I'll just go ahead and hit stop. And there's the file for me. You can go ahead and just play it back.
I'm supposed to be the franchise player, and we're in here talking about practice.
Then all you gotta do is just go to File, Save As, name it whatever you want, put it in whatever folder you want, and boom, you're ready to go. So again, the YouTube converter, really great for just pulling stuff from YouTube, real simple, especially songs. Goldwave is more for like those special situations where you have something really long and you only want to snip it, or it's just not on YouTube in the first place. The other question I see people asking a lot about sampling is, where do I find samples from? Well, again, YouTube. But where on YouTube? Okay. A couple of people, I'll throw them out to you. We got Vinyl Frontier. These guys are great because they keep getting shut down on YouTube all the time, and then they'll just pop up with another one somewhere else. So they upload stuff every day. If you just go to their playlists, they got loops, they got soundtracks, horror, Star Trek, drum breaks, different composers, tons of stuff. Another one that I like, Andre Navarro. He pretty much, or whoever this is, pretty much opens up stuff every day. Gentlemen, Ladies, Global, Europe. Soulhawk is another one. Just a bunch of songs from the 60s and 70s and whatnot that'll have a lot of good stuff on there. Yeah, they've been broken down by Southern Soul, Beat Ballad, Seriously Soulful, Christmas Soul. I mean, just hours and hours of stuff to dig through. Another tip you can do is you can actually find the artist that other producers were sampling from and see what else they have in their catalog. One of my favorite producers of all time is Kanye. He flips the craziest samples. If you go to Kanye's page on Wikipedia, it'll show you a lot of the samples that he uses in his track listings. Go to his discography. Let's just go back to Late Registration. I think this is my favorite Kanye album. If you go down to the track listing, it has all the different tracks, yada, yada, yada. If you go below that, it'll show the sample credits. And then if you look through the sample credits, you'll see the different artists that he's sampled from. Curtis Mayfield, Ray Charles, Hank Crawford, Gil Scott-Heron, Bill Withers, whatever. And so now you have the artists. Now, I'm not suggesting that you actually just go ahead and rip the same samples that some other producer did that already made a hit song out of it. What you can do, though, is if you go to Pandora, you can just start listening to other songs, not only by that artist, but by similar artists. So one of them was Bill Withers. And then I'm not sure if you're familiar with how Pandora works, but if you just play their top songs, they'll basically create a station for you. Well, they'll play a bunch of Bill Withers songs, but then they also play songs from similar artists. This will not only help you find more songs to sample from, but it'll give you new artists to go ahead and sample from as well. Also, I like to watch movies, and a lot of times the soundtrack in movies are awesome. I sampled something from The Dark Knight once. Dark Knight original motion picture soundtrack. Yeah, I sampled this little crazy string instrument one time for... Yeah, so hopefully after the end of this video, you learned how to pull anything from any sound that you can pull up on your computer, and hopefully I gave you a couple new avenues on ways to discover new samples for yourself. So if you got any questions about anything, definitely leave them down in the comments. If you guys know any other tools that you like to use for sampling, definitely drop that down in the comments and let me know, because I always love to learn about more stuff and new things that are going on out there as well. But other than that, I appreciate you tuning in. Hopefully that helps. Y'all have a good one.